step into a world where the lines between light and darkness blur, redemption takes center stage, and a classic tale of heroism unfolds. That is the epitome of what Final Fantasy IV is. This game was the pioneer for what we now know as narrative-driven RPGs. This game is not only beloved by millions of RPG fans, but it also started one of the greatest RPG renaissances of all time. In this review, I, Brighton Nelson, will attempt to do justice to reviewing this fantastic game in a multitude of different categories, from its captivating story, its awe-striking artistry, its serene soundtrack, and its intricate progression system. Without further ado, RPG Ranked presents a Final Fantasy IV review, super solid, but not quite sensational. So let's first talk about the battle system, as I always do. So this battle system is not too special. Yeah, I'm still going to give it an 8 out of 10, and why is that? I am a sucker for 5 party members, and I also love games where each character has a predefined role, so really those two add together for a really solid action time battle system. On top of that, you can switch out party members, not during battle, but you can switch out party members in newer versions. Also, one thing that I really like, well, also there's 12 playable characters, so that always makes a battle system good when you've got a good cast of playable characters. And as you progress through the game, like during different points of the game, at any given time, you'll have different characters. So like as you just go throughout the game, you're going to be losing characters, getting characters, and it just really makes the battle system feel fluid and fresh. Like 2 or 3 dungeons when you get a new character. Also, I love that when you play this game in the 3D versions, there's the auto battle system. And when you have using augments, like you can have 5 abilities, but you can also use the auto battle one as a 6th ability. So that means you can use, like, let's say you have darkness and focus and jump and adrenaline and, I don't know, draw attacks or something. It's your auto battle, you put your good old, I don't know, attack or something. That's a bad example, but you can have a bunch of abilities, but then you can use your auto battle command as an extra ability, which is awesome. So I love that about this battle system, that you can truly customize it quite a bit with the auto battle system. So I really love that. One of my favorite auto battle systems. I mean, this isn't really too special. I love the 5 characters. I love the ever-changing character cast. Makes this a fun battle system, and I love the auto battle. So yeah, pretty great battle system. Alright, so let's talk about the story in Final Fantasy IV. As the first RPG to ever really have a story, Final Fantasy IV, like, it's incredibly revolutionary, and while simplistic at times, it really still holds up to this day. Before I get into what I love about the story, I do have a few flaws that really hold it. Perfect score. First of all, the sheer amount of unnecessary fake-out deaths is pretty offensive. I would have loved to see this change in remakes, as bringing these characters back to life meant very little to the plot. It was really dumb. I mean, yes, it would ruin the customization offered by switching characters or the augment system, so I can't complain all that much. But it's just kind of wacky that it would go from such like a somber feel to like this dumb, corny anime crap. So, I mean, like in Final Fantasy II, I loved the meaningful character death, right? And it's weird that these characters come back to life. So I'm gonna say that, yeah, so having an emotional core of the story evolve around drawing on emotion of character deaths, pulling the bait switches is just bad. Like Poem and Porum, their deaths could have been perfect. Like showing that the innocent can die in the fight against evil, like the young and innocent, I think that's pretty crazy. I think Young shouldn't have died at all. Like, there shouldn't have been anything that was like, okay, maybe. I mean, like, the Leviathan, I think Leviathan having fake out deaths with Rydia, Edward, like, that's fine, because realistically, people do wash up on shore. I mean, for all of them to survive, maybe it would have been interesting. I don't know. Maybe if... No, Edward dying wouldn't make any sense, though, because it kind of was the point that he could live on without Anna. But, yeah, I don't think any of the characters should have died. Maybe there could have been a better explanation, like maybe Young lived on the sea for however many days, because he's a monk, and monks are kind of just like that. Rydia, March, Edward could have, I don't know, got saved, or maybe that is kind of what happened. But, like, I don't know. I think there could have definitely been a bit of a better explanation there. I think the Leviathan thing worked, but So Yong's quote-unquote first death was fine. But the weird, like, oh, I'm gonna go beat up these goblins and then blow up, that was the most unconvincing death ever, and it was so bad. But it was just a stupid way to, like, convince the player, oh, he needs to leave the party. So what I think would have been epic, this would have been my perfect way of going about the story, even if nobody agrees with me. Because I personally like Yong so much better than Edge, like, as a character in battle and all of that. As much as I like Edge, I feel like, I don't know. I think it would have been cool if Yong just left the party for, I don't know, some reason. Maybe his wife was doing something weird. I don't know. Like, some example. Maybe his wife was having a baby. Maybe Ursula was or something. It doesn't matter. I think, like, if he would have just left for a little bit and been like, hey, I'll come back, just go do that objective or whatever, that would have been cool. And then we get Edge and we still get his story, and then maybe he dies and sacrifices himself, taking down Rubicante or Dr. Luque, and avenges his parents in doing so. I think that would have been a lot more emotionally charged. It would have been a really cool way to, like, have Edge be in the game, have the ninjutsu and all that stuff, but then come around full circle and have Yong again. I mean, I think a lot of people like Edge, but I mean, he's not my favorite. I think it's great. I mean, he's super cool in the after. Yeah, I don't know. So, like, again, if we were to get, like, a Final Fantasy VII remake type Final Fantasy IV, it'd be cool to see him change up the story kind of like this a little bit, so it's not as fake out character death and influenced by all that stuff. So that would have been great. But, like, in the end, I'm okay with what they did with Edge. I just like Yong better, so I'm just making stuff up. But anyway, the only character that I think really should have had a fake out death was Sid. I think it perfectly fits with Sid in this game. He's silly, he's absurd. Like, Sid being a fake out death, it works. But all the other characters, I think is stupid. At least they didn't make Tella fake out death. That would have been so stupid. But anyway, I mean, I think if you've played this game, you know how iconic of a story it is. And if you haven't played this game, hopefully you didn't listen to anything I just said and you skipped like I said. But, yeah, I mean, this game has a lot of the emotional issues because of the deaths just being completely thrown under the bus. But, I mean, I'm glad that they kind of did this because of the after years and because it allows for the PSP customization, but I'm not going to be too subjective because of the gameplay decisions. I'm just going to have to say the story's an 8 out of 10 because truly this is not the greatest, most well-written story because of these factors. Anyway, since we're spoiling stuff anyway, let's talk about the good stuff. So first of all, there are some awesome character moments. I will say Cecil, Mount Ordeals, all that stuff is some of the best moments in the whole series. I will say, I wish Cecil got a bit more character development after that plot point at Mount Ordeals, because as much as I love it, I mean, he's kind of the main protagonist, and that's kind of where his like, character development is, but it's okay. I mean, there's some other stuff, like his brother Theodore and all that stuff. And then secondly, yeah, I think Yong being an endgame character would have made the story a little better, because then I just think that Edge having a sacrifice would really be super cool. And I think that it'd be a great moment, honestly, especially since a bunch of other people are dying anyway. And I think that just there's no way I can think of where Yong having a sacrifice would make any sense. So, yeah. And then Zemus was just a lame villain. I think Zemus is honestly not as bad as the Cloud of Darkness, but I'd probably still argue Zemus is worse than Necron, because at least Necron quotes Yoda, and that was kind of fun. But anyway, yeah, they could have had a better villain than Zemus. I think that having the twist villain being Kane, like in the end, Kane was controlling Golbez instead of the other way around, or Fusoya having the reins of everything, like some crazy shiz like that could have been epic. But Zemus, I don't know. I don't love when the epitome of death is the main villain. I just think that's kind of mid. I mean, if that was like if Death was a character and like had characterization and was a villain, that would be cool, obviously. But as it is, I don't like these random god beings being the main, like, final boss. I just think that's kind of mediocre. But anyway, again, all this stuff would just mess with the sequel, but I mean, the sequel should be fixed anyway. They should really make a remake of Final Fantasy IV the after years to make it actually good, but I don't think that'll ever happen ever. So anyway, but I do have to talk about some amazing parts of the story that really give it 8 out of 10. Seeing Cecil's character grow from a Dark Knight to a Paladin, fantastic. Super compelling, love it every time I play the game. Especially in the 3D versions with all the awesome cutscenes. I love all that. Cecil and Kane's rivalry for Rosa is equally disheartening and engaging. And since Cecil is the obvious winner, I mean, protagonist plot armor. But, like, seeing Kane's grief over the fact shows his humanity and makes him a much more interesting character. Rydia's backstory and her Feymarch storylines are awesome. Tella and Edward, like, being, like, this, like, they originally hate each other, well, Tella hates Edward at least, but growing to really care about Edward as his, like, what, son-in-law. You know what I'm saying? Like, their eventual respect for each other after the loss of Anna was pretty beautiful and just really sad. Also, I think it's kind of stupid that Edward wasn't there when Tella died, but whatever. That would have made the game so much better, but I don't know. It's kind of dumb. But anyway, yeah, Tella's death, an amazing moment. Not as good as, like, Gallup's death in FF5, but it's up there with one of the best Final Fantasy deaths. Fulham and Porum's antics, clashing personalities, and turning themselves into stone. Everything involving Young, going to the underworld and the moon. Oh my gosh, those were so cool. Like, even to this day, like, what game can you go to the underworld and the moon? I mean, I guess Minecraft is the closest thing I can think of, and I don't even like Minecraft, so yeah, that's kind of whack. And then Golbez being Cecil's brother, like, that is all epic stuff, and that's just amazing. So, I love the story in Final Fantasy IV, and while it has its flaws, like, it has so many amazing moments that are better than the sum of its parts, but really, and I can't deny that this game revolutionized storytelling in RPGs. Usually I'm not the guy who's like, oh my gosh, it's good because it was the first time it ever happened. Yeah, I'm not one of the people who's like thinking that, oh, just because a game's 3D graphics for the first time, it's the best thing ever exist. But really, without Final Fantasy IV, like, there's a difference for me between a graphical upgrade and literally being the first game to ever tell a good story. Like, that is a feat because, like, yeah, because it really, like, made video games a much more mature form of art. Like, this game did a lot of cool stuff. So really, the story's awesome, but I'm not going to say it's a 10 out of 10. Alright, but now all the people who skipped the spoilers should be joining us back for the third category on this list, and that is music, 7.5. I hate giving this such a low score, but I really just think that this is one of my least favorite Final Fantasy soundtracks. I think my least favorite mainline Final Fantasy soundtrack, to be honest. I mean, I really do love the music in this game. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it has some great, like, the banger that is the Red Wings theme, the beautifully written theme of love that I play on the piano so often it's stupid. From Golbez's intense and atmospheric boss theme to the tranquil Rydia's theme. And, like, I think, I don't know if Rydia's theme or Theme of Love is my favorite song in this game, but, or maybe the Golbez boss theme, but one of those. All pretty close. Anyway, as much as I think this is a great, like, perfect soundtrack for Final Fantasy IV, like, I wouldn't want anything to change about the soundtrack. I just don't love it that much. And it's perfect for the game, but I don't find myself being like, oh yeah, I love Final Fantasy IV music. I'm like, no. I'm usually thinking about, like, FF7 music, FF10 music, FF3 music. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love Final Fantasy IV's music, but I'm not going to say it's one of my favorites. I mean, it's still Nobuo Uematsu. Like, the fact I'm giving it a 7.5 is honestly kind of sacrilegious, but I'm just being honest here. It's not my favorite soundtrack of his, but I still love it to an extent. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway, art and graphics is going to be our next category, and I'm going to give this category an 8.5. Might be the only one on the planet saying that I like the 2D and 3D versions of Final Fantasy IV equally in terms of how they look. So like the at least the Pixel remaster, the PSP, and the mobile version, I would say, are all tied for how good they look. Um, the Pixel remaster has its own just like olden day charm. I love it. It looks like what the SNES game would have looked like if it were made for like modern consoles. It's just perfectly adapted. The PSP version just looks so incredibly smooth and stuff. And it just is awesome looking. The sprite work is fantastic. And then the 3D version, I wouldn't say the DS version is that great because it's so pixely, but the mobile version is so cool. And while I get that a lot of people don't like the look, I think it looks fantastic. Sure, I don't like Theodore's look in like Final Fantasy IV the After Years, or I think a couple of his other characters are like questionable. But in this game, I love how Cecil looks. I love how the different characters look, like all of them. I will say Sid looks a little obnoxious, but for the most part, I think they all look really good in 3D as well. I think that all the versions, like even, I think this is my favorite. This is my second favorite SNES look in the Final Fantasy series, which I guess isn't saying much since there's only three, but I think the SNES game still looks really nice to this day as well. I think that, let's see what else we have. Other versions? Yeah, I think the DS version's the worst looking. Because I just can't do the pixeliness. But anyway, all these versions look really good. I mean, I'm not, 9 out of like 9s or 10s in the graphic department are either gotta be like the most realistic, like epic looking shiz ever, or like really like artistic looking. And 8.5 for me is just like really solid pixel art. I can't say anything like it's groundbreaking or revolutionary, but like it's also amazing. So yeah, I'm gonna give an 8.5 to the Final Fantasy IV graphics. Alright, next is the characters department, which I'm gonna give a 9 out of 10. I love the characters in Final Fantasy IV. Cecil, who goes from a misguided anti-hero Dark Knight to a pure and holy paladin. Cecil's rival and good friend Kane, who is in cahoots with the main antagonist. Rydia, a little girl mage who grows up to be a mature, womanly summoner. Tella, the old man who is out to avenge his daughter, Anna. And Edward, Anna's husband, and the ever-iconic Spoony Bard. Rosa, Cecil and Kane's love interest and a kind and loving white mage. Young, high-ranking Fabulian monk with ounces of delicious suave. Palm and Porum, two very young and eccentric twin mages to be. Sid, the iconic engineer and the first playable Sid in the series. Edge, a ninja who wants to kill Rubicante for his foul deeds. Fusoya, a mysterious Lunarian with access to all magic. And of course the antagonist Golbez, who's as dark, edgy, and awesome as possible with some excellent late-game plot twists. There's only one reason I can't rate this game higher, because I feel like it's just completely overshadowed by the After Years cast, which has more characters, and that's always a good thing. And also, I don't think it's my favorite cast in the series. I think, well, After Years has my favorite cast in the series, and then two other games, and then Final Fantasy IV. So I really love the Final Fantasy IV cast of characters, but it's not my favorite in the series, and I just think that since After Years exists, that kind of just takes down my opinion of this character roster, because After Years just literally improves on this roster because it fleshes it out with some of Edge's friends, Leonora, Luca, Calca and Brina. Okay, Calca and Brina are stupid, but like Harley, and well, let's see, Ursula is one of my favorites. I love the Evelyn 4. Like, the thing that really makes After Years an incredible game is its characters. That's about it. But like, I just think that since the after years exist. I can't give this a 10 out of 10 in any way if the word is just too hard for me to do. I can't say that this is a 10 out of 10 because then what is after years? 11? Like, no, I'm not doing that. Okay. Anyway, let's move on to the customization system. I want to give this a 9 out of 10. That is stupid, I know, but bear with me. First of all, I was talking about it earlier. I love how people leave and enter the party at a whim, and how it just makes the game ever evolving. In the PSP versions, and you can get each character is just simple. You can change your characters at any time in Mysidia near the end of the game. I mean, in that case, I mean, I like games where every character is different, but there's nothing too special about that. Just being able to change party members and stuff. Like for that, the customization system would be 5, 6, 7. In the PSP and GBA versions, and probably like a 3 or 4 in the like original 2D versions, because let's be honest, there's no like actual customization system there if you really think about it. But anyway, in the 3D versions, I would give, yeah, I give them a perfect 10. So I can't give it a 10 because I'm considering multiple versions here, so I'm saying a 9. But I love the customization system in the 3D versions, and I would give them a 10 there. So a 9 overall, but a 10 for the augment system. So augments are just so cool. So you can find them in two ways, either shining spots throughout different areas of the game, or after you give a temporary character an augment that you find, and then they give you a new augment at the cost of that first one. This is a very cool system, and it makes the game incredibly replayable. I love combining abilities like Omnicast, Double Cast, and Piercing Magic on Rosa to make her the perfect buffer. I love combining abilities like Jump, Focus, Darkness, Limit Break, and Adrenaline on Kane to dish out up to 64 times damage. I can't think of any other game that lets you do that many times damage, and that's insane. Giving Rydia a dual cast, MP plus 50%, and Fast Talker will make her the ultimate overpowered DPS. Giving Edge Phoenix, Bless, Bard Song, and Hyde can make him the leading secondary support character. Giving Cecil a Cursed Ring, Reach, Draw Attacks counter, assigning question mark, question mark, question mark, question marks, love. The said counter can make him dish out vast amounts of damage while nullifying all single target damage. Actually add brace onto that as well, because if you brace and then you start countering with question mark, question mark, question marks, love, he's going to do so much damage and nullify all single target damage. Anyway, on top of all this, each augment can increase your stat development, adding an extra layer of strategy. Do I get better stats but have weaker augments, or vice versa? While this isn't the best customization system in the series, it is far more replayable than any other because it evolves every playthrough. Not every game gives you an ever-changing customization system like this. This is like some robust legacy board game stuff. In my opinion, this customization system makes Final Fantasy IV be the most replayable game in the series in my eyes. I mean, I think I've played Final Fantasy I more times because I endlessly played this game when I was like 5 years old. That game when I was like 5 years old. But Final Fantasy IV is the one I have replayed the most, just out of Final Fan, other than Final Fantasy One, which I just played. I don't know why, because that was like the one game I was allowed to play. But Final Fantasy IV is just by far the most replayable, and this system, the augment system, makes it not boring to play through the game 3 consecutive times in a row without breaking, like I did to fight Protobabble and to fight Gurion and all that stuff. And that just makes, like, if a customization system can make it super easy for me to literally play a game 3 times in a row, that is impressive. I mean, sure, the Materia and Esper systems are more in depth, and I like them a lot better. But this system, well, not, I guess not a lot better, but definitely better. But the fact that the augment system is just so makes the game so replayable, and it evolves each playthrough is just something that I really think is so cool, and something that no other Final Fantasy game really does. So I think this is really cool, and yeah, overall, I think that this deserves a 9 out of 10 in the customization system category. Alright, the side quest category, an 8 out of 10 for Final Fantasy IV. I think this game has a lot of awesome side quests, but I have two problems with this that bring it down from a 10 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10. First of all, it pisses me off that every single new version of this game adds some side quests but gets rid of some other ones. Like, why can't we just have a version of this game that has all of them? Like, that's so stupidly absurd. Like, Pixel Remaster, gets rid of the augment system and gets rid of all the side quests that are added. PSP, it does have Gurion and Protobabble. GBA, it doesn't have Gurion and Protobabble. And DS and mobile do not have lunar ruins and stuff. So this is just stupid. Like, just give me all sides. Anyway, so that takes 1 point off. Another point is that each of these side quests have like a slight annoyance for me. Like secret summons that you can find within the first hour of the game, even before you get Rydia as a summoner. It's so cool, but you have to grind for an eternity. Bunch of collectible, colorful rat tails that can be traded in to receive top tier equipment. That's honestly epic. But again, you have to grind for an eternity. The Excalibur being forged. Like, forging the Excalibur, like, that should be easy, not bad at all. Nope, you have to wait for it to finish forging. It's so fun. Going to the Feymarsh land of the summons, the origin of Queen Ashura and King Leviathan. Oh wait, you have to go through the most annoying dungeon where you have to cast flow over and over and over again. The Sylph Cave, you get to see Young alive, get a new summon, and get the most potent throwing item in the game. Oh wait, you have to go through hell and back in my least favorite dungeon in the Final Fantasy series, or at least one of my least favorites. Lunar Ruins, you get to unlock the hidden powerful abilities of every character in the game and fight the hardest super boss. Oh wait, you have to beat the game multiple times and repeatedly exit the dungeon to change your party. Cave of Trials, you unlock the ultimate weapons for the non-Big Five party members. We must go through multiple times because Cecil cannot be removed from your party. The Gurion and Protobabble fights, you have to play the game 2 or 3 times respectively. Like, I love all these quests, but just there are a lot of ways where they're annoying, and of course, it's just bad that no version of this game has all side quests. So really, all these side quests are phenomenal in theory, but in practice, they are a little bit frustrating because I feel like they add a lot of tedium. I mean, Final Fantasy IV is very streamlined, so playing the game multiple times is really quick. However, I just don't think that any game should make you replay it multiple times for side quests to like actually work. I mean, it works with the augment system because that's good, but like having to go through the final dungeon multiple times in the PSP version, like there's no incentive for that at all. This is pretty dumb. And I will say, yeah, I mean, I can't with games that make you New Game Plus to get everything. I mean, there are a couple that I'm like, okay, that makes sense, but most, I'm just like, that's stupid. Okay, our penultimate category, we're racing to the end of this review here, but is going to be the dungeons. And I literally have the same problem as I have with the side quest. I give this another 8 out of 10. And it's just that the locations are super cool, but there are just some annoying ones. Some places that, like, they're cool, but they have, some annoying things, just like how I thought about the side quest. But I'll go from, like, my favorite dungeons here, my least favorite. So there's like the Tower of Zop, climactic dungeon with awesome bosses and emotional resonance. Lunar Ruins, the place where you unlock the true power of your characters and fight the most challenging bosses in the game, which is super sad that we didn't get to see this in the 3D version, if only for the Big Five party members you end with. The Giant of Babel, a short yet super eventful dungeon with 2 of the best bosses in the game and very iconic scenery. Mount Ordeal is one of the best areas in the Final Fantasy series in terms of plot, character growth, and meaningful boss battles. The Tower of Babel, an iconic and fun dungeon in every way of the word, and a very important dungeon in the plot. And lastly, the Lunar Subterrane, a fabulous area that ends the game off with a bang. However, there are also some really bad dungeons too. Underground Waterway, a convoluted and MP draining mess of a dungeon. The Lunar Tunnels, nothing areas to pad out the game's runtime. Evelyn Cave, a rather bland and drab dungeon that is a bit excessive in its abuse of the game's hidden passageway mechanic. The Passage of the Eidolons, a dungeon that relies way too heavily on its float mechanics. And Sylph Cave, my least favorite dungeon in the series, as aforementioned. While the good outweighs the bad here, these dungeons aren't good enough to deserve a higher score on this list. Alrighty, let's move into our last section on this list, and that is the quality of life section, and I give it an 8 out of 10. Honestly, this game is pretty dang free of glitches, like especially compared to other Final Fantasy games. Much less than like Final Fantasy 5, 6, 7, you know what I'm saying? It runs well and doesn't feel slow, something many RPGs have an issue with. However, there are some archaic features such as limited inventory space in the 2D versions, only being able to swap out party members at one location in the 2D versions, or not being able to swap out party members at all in the 3D versions. Also, each remake continues to add features but get rid of other features, which I was saying, that is an embarrassing decision. I think that's so bad. And I mean, this gives the incentive to play the game 3 times with the PSP mobile and pixel remaster versions, like all 3 definitive versions. And I think that all these versions have their like reasons to play them. But I don't want to have to play the PSP version once, the pixel remaster version once, and the DS version or mobile version 3 times, which I have done that. I will admit, like I still had fun, but that is not a great quality of life decision. That to get everything, you have to play the game on so many different versions. And I mean, it's fine because like this game is totally worth replaying, but still, that's just annoying that they can't just keep freaking content. Like, can't commit to putting content in the game and then removing it. Like, that's so bad, especially since like the Lunar Ruins is beloved by some people. I mean, some people hate it, but there are people who love the Lunar Ruins and wanted to see it in 3D. There are people who want to see like Gurion and Protobabble make an appearance in Pixel Remaster, augments in Pixel Remaster, party switching in Pixel Remaster. Like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't like the Pixel Remaster that much because quite frankly, augments are one reason I love Final Fantasy IV so much. But anyway, overall this game runs very well, but some questionable design choices make it an 8 out of 10 for me. So what is the verdict for Final Fantasy IV? Overall, I give it a fun factor of 9 out of 10 and an overall score of 83%. This SNES classic remains a shining example of how RPGs can blend storytelling, compelling characters, and innovative gameplay mechanics to create an evergreen gaming experience. While Final Fantasy IV isn't perfect and doesn't reach the heights of the masterpiece RPGs that have since innovated using the legacy this game created, I highly recommend this game to any RPG enthusiast or casual RPG fan. And I would say, if you had to ask me, let me think really quick, I would say this is my 4th or 5th favorite Final Fantasy game. I still love it so much to this day. It's very good, and I think 83% is a really good score for what I believe this game to be. Thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and check out some other videos on the channel. If you watched this video, thank you so much, and feel free to join us on Patreon for more exclusive early access content, or check out one of the affiliate links below if you've never played Final Fantasy IV and you want to give it a shot and you enjoy this video enough to feel like you want to support us. Obviously, you don't have to, but if you're planning on buying the game anyway, you might as well support us for this review. Thank you all for watching again, and have an amazing day. Peace out, RPG nerds.